All right, everybody, welcome to the Roundup, and we have a special guest, Stephen Reside from A Different View podcast. Stephen, I appreciate you joining us, mate.
Not a problem. It's a pleasure to be on, guys.
What a guy, mate.
Dak says, we need one of the Reside boys on. I says, don't get his fucking dad.
Don't get my dad.
Don't get him on, man.
Don't get my dad.
I spoke to him after the winning game last week. He spoke enough pish, mate, for that. So we had to get his boy on, not me.
Well,
we sure had to put up with after the game, I think, Steve.
Yeah, the worst it was, Stephen came on, man, and he was like, before we started, what's happening, Dak? You just out of jail? I said, I've just done a few months Guantanamo Bay, man. That's me. I've had to sneak out to get a roundup done.
That's what I said. Orange is the new Dak, man. That's what
Orange is the new Dak. I like that. That was good, man. That was good.
Thank you, mate.
Right, lads, we'll get about 9 million South of Scotland Cup games to get through, so we'll get ourselves started. But first, a wee shout out to our sponsor, Stuart Ventilation Services. Stuart Ventilation Services are an independent stockist and distributor of heating, ventilation and air conditioning products based in East Kilbride. So if you're looking for any of that stuff, give them a shout, look them up on Facebook and stuff. The guys, they pop work. And
now's your time with the winter coming in, PG. Now's your time.
Right. I don't think there's ever been a better time than the winter time to get that stuff sorted.
Mate, and I can take this hoodie off, not me, if that done.
It's a wee bit right, so apologies. Stephen's got to keep me right because I think he's better prepared than I am today. I just wrote the scores out there. I'm not sure if my source is completely right with them all. So if I get a couple wrong, Stephen will correct me. So let's start for it. Talbot 5, Craigmark 0, Cumnock 7, Upper Annandale 0, Clembyslang 6, Wishaw 0, Glenafton 2, Lugar 0, Gartcairn 4, Sagenta 3, Lanark 1, East Kilbride 5, Lochaber 6, Larkhall 5, Maple 3, Girvan 2, Nixdale 0, 3 8, Troon 5, 4 0, Ardere 0, Glasgow United 3, Artley 0, Meda 3, Ashfield 2, The Thorn 0, B 3, Largs 4, Benburn 1, Rutherglen 4, Perthshire 1, Kilwinning 5, Glenvale 1, Yoker 3, Harmony 0, Nielsen 1, Nave cunts listening anymore because this is going on far too long. Borough 3, Campbelltown 1, Kilburnie 2, Drumchapel 4, Maryhill 5, The Rock 1, Petershill 1, Vela Clyde 2, Pollok 2, Clydebank 4, Saltcoats 1, Renfrew 3, St Cadoc's 3, BSC 0, Bowness 2, Thornywood 1, that's the Wayne's Halloween stuff, fell off the table there. Easterhouse 2, Canoe 4, Glenrothes 6, Bellshill 2, Inverkeithing 2, Kilsyth Athletic 1, Kennaway 3, Glasgow Uni 5, Rossvale Academy 2, Shotts 3, Rossvale 2, Irvine Vicks 1, Socky 1, Cumbernauld 2, 4-2 to Socky in penalties.
Mate, I could have done another month in Guantanamo Bay.
It wouldn't have been that bad. That was lengthy, man.
Well done, mate.
There's a good job for you doing the classified results at the end of sport. That guy with the mad posh
voice.
You're
selling that. Dak, as always, mate, we will start with the Pollock. Looked at an interesting game. Clydebank winning 4-2 in extra time. 95th minute equaliser for Pollock. Liam McGonigal getting sent off for the worst tackle you'll ever see in football. It was a disgrace the man is. Talk us through it. Danny, I'm only kidding on, right?
No, listen, mate, to be honest with you, I can't comment too much on it. I missed, that's the first game I've missed now while due to work commitments yesterday, so it wasn't ideal to miss it, especially against Clydebank. They're always big games, but listen, Clydebank have won the game, they're through in the cup, they've shown great character, especially when they've ended up 20 extra time, they've been down to 10 men. And we've went 2-1 up, you know what I mean? They've shown great character to go on and win the game, and then we've had a man sent off as well, Big Scott Rumsby. But I don't want to comment too much on it because I wasn't there. So all I've really seen so far is the highlights and the goals and the incidents, you know what I mean, for the game. So I don't know how the balance of play really went. I would be unfair of me to comment on that, but we're just disappointed, obviously, to boot the cup. My fans will be disappointed in that as well, which is understandable. But same time, man, it's been another close game. It just shows you how tight the games are, and unfortunately, we've not went through. And well done to Clydebank getting through to the next round. I know they've enjoyed it. I've got too many Clydebank fans on my Twitter, mate. I'm telling you. See, last night, mate. See, honestly, last night, Stephen, mate, I had to turn I just wasn't looking at my phone anymore because I kept seeing them trying to rub salt into the wounds of us, mate. And listen, they're well within their right. They've won the game, mate, and they always like coming to Pollock and winning. But no, mate, listen, there's not much for me to say because I wasn't at the game, so I'm going to leave it at that, my man.
There you go, Stephen. You seen the highlights?
I've seen the highlights, and I think when you look at a game like that on paper, it's easy to look at it and go, oh, Clydebank, we're down to 10 men, and they still managed to go and take the lead in extra time after Pollock gone 2-1 up. But if you look at the goals that Clydebank scored when you watch the highlights, one of them's an overhead kick, one of them's a pot shot from outside the box, and then the fourth goal, Pollock are obviously chasing the game, trying to get an equaliser, and they've been left exposed up the other end. So I think the only one you can really pick a hole in, I think Dak will agree, we've seen it, as penalties a wee bit soft, but it's very easy to look at a game on paper and say, oh, that's shocking getting beat after 10 men. But when you look at the highlights, the game never went like that at all.
Well, see, you've brought it up. Me and Dak spoke about it this morning. What's the view on the penalty then?
Soft for me. I mean, for me, I think the goalkeeper, Lumsden's coming out, he's claiming the ball. And all right, I think the centre back maybe shouldn't have put his hand on the Clydebank player to give the referee a decision to make. But I don't think the Clydebank player's getting there anyway. So for me, it's not a penalty kick.
Dak, what's your views?
I'll be honest, for what I've seen the highlights, Williams isn't a sending off. For the angle I've seen it on in the telly, it's not a sending off. Fordy's goal, for us, their second goal, Dell's took a free kick. He's took it about a good few yards away from where it originally happened. That was another one the ref probably got wrong. The penalty is not a penalty in my opinion. Many times you see that. It's just a tussle between a centre forward pulling a centre half. Centre half pulled him, the two of them have wrestled each other to the ground. Scotty's experienced, maybe shouldn't have got quite involved as much and did. But so I'm looking at that and I'm looking at some big decisions both ways that I don't think the refs got right. But I can't really come on and slaughter them because I've not seen overall how the performance was. But they big calls, I think, if the referees to look at them, he might have had a different opinion. But I've seen people out there saying Big Scotty wrestled with him. There was no way the ball was going to the forward anyway. And as you say, the ball was going to a player, Josh was going to get it. I think it's a very, very harsh penalty, and I'll be honest with that. But at the same time, I think that Williams, for the angle I've seen, it looks harsh. He's sending off, and I think that, as I said, I think that the build up to Fordy's goal, the second goal for Paul, I think the free kick was taken about maybe 7-8 yards away from where it was. I know the refs let the game play, and you encourage that, but I know that Clydebank would maybe feel aggrieved at that. So I can't really comment any further, but I think it was a harsh penalty.
See, for me, I think that I just can't remember who the Clydebank player was at the time. He's probably initially fouled Big Scott with the way he's pulled him, but Scott's made it so easy for the ref to make a decision. It's just, I think, see what he's done. It's something I've done myself many times, but he doesn't need to do it. Josh has caught the ball, it's still in play. He does what he does, and I think, letter of the law, it's a penalty, but it's not the best one to get. On Liam sending off, I don't think it's a sending off either. I think that it's a booking. I think Liam's, with his size and stuff, he does well at this level because he's got a bit extra about him as well. He's not just a good player. He's got a wee bit of that side to him. And I think he does try to take him. I don't think he tries to hurt him, but I think he tries to take him. For me, it's a booking. And you can see his reaction when he gets up. He's kind of apologetic and stuff. But I don't think it's a red card. I think it's the ref's made a mistake. He probably went to his card too quick for that one. But like you said, there's a couple that went for each way, you know what I mean?
See that game, mate, and I've only been involved the one that we won a few weeks ago in the league against Clydebank. I think that they're tasty affairs, mate. And there's no, let's be honest, there's no love lost between the two sets of fans, mate. You can feel it when you're there, Stephen. I think you've even maybe been to some of them yourself, mate.
I went to the game last season. The floodlights were turned on. You can feel it. But could I just touch on the sending off what you were saying there? I think, see when you get a tackle like that and everybody reacts and there's loads of noise for the crowd and everybody on the pitches, it's dead easy for the referee to then react and go red card because everybody else in the bottom. So I think you need to take that into account as well.
I think you're right in saying that. I think the referees, I don't know who the boy is. He looks reasonably young. A bit more experience, you maybe give yourself a wee second and don't just go straight for the card. You look at the players about you and just take a second. But I think that's a big win for Clydebank. They've been doing better of late. Pollock seemed to have had something there them for the last while. I mean, that you did the vlog with Anton. I did the first ever kind of vlog style at Clydebank and Pollock. And then you had the one a few weeks ago where you seem to have the upper hand on them. So I think that's a big win psychologically for Clydebank just for themselves. But it's a cup game, so you haven't lost any ground in the league. Another game I'm going to touch on, because we've got a lot today. Gartcairn 4-3 with Syngenta. That's a huge result. Syngenta, obviously out in the east, they're looking like a team who are really trying to kick on, and possibly spending a bit of money and stuff. 3-0 up at half time, I believe it was. Gartcairn down to 10 men. What a turnaround that is for Gartcairn, and what a good season Mick and his team are having.
Aye, Stevie, you batter in because you
sorry, I didn't know who was going there, but
just you fire in, mate.
3-0 up, Syngenta or Connor Boulder, he gets sent off. I think it was after about 20 minutes. So they've ended up playing 70 minutes of the game with 10 men. Gartcairn and Syngenta are not a bad side. They're a good footballing team. So what a result that is for Mick Dunlop. Mick worked with my dad and worked with Gums at Rossfield. So I know he's very good tactically. And that just shows a result of that. To come back with 10 men and still go for it and win 4-3. And Regan Aitken, I think the goal to win it was an absolute belter as well. So, to be honest with you, doing the YouTube, it's a game I wish I would have went involved. But you can always say these things in hindsight, can't you know what I mean?
Of course, mate. I totally agree with you, Stephen, mate. I think that's a tremendous result for Gartcairn, and what that does for they were confident. They've had a confident run of form and confidence will be high in the camp. But what that just does as well is give them that wee bit more, that wee bit of belief. So it obviously shows that they've got that never say die attitude when everything's against them and the chips are down. They've dug right deep and they've managed to get through to the next round of the cup. And that's the beauty of the cup. Do you know what I mean? Mick's probably goes, listen, we've got nothing to lose here. We're getting beat 3-0. We're down to 10 men. Let's throw caution to the wind and go for it. And it's paid dividends, man. And that's staying through. And that dressing room would have been electric after the game.
And you think, well, that's going to take them for it, and you think, well, that's going to take them into the league campaign as well. I mean, I think they started the season no bad, am I right in saying so? I think they're one of the favourites to come up. So that I think that's just going to further boost that, the fact that they've went and played a team like Syngenta with 10 men, 3-0 down and got that result.
I think it shows that they're definitely building something, and we've kind of touched on it maybe last week or the week before. They're starting to get a bit of momentum in that league, and we know how tough that first division is. They're kind of picking up. Going to pick on an all first division fixture. The top two playing in the cup this week: Kilbirnie 2, Drumchapel 4. We've mentioned 2 weeks in the bounce now. Drumchapel, I think they're like 10 wins in a row or something like that. They are absolutely flying now. I mean, I only saw the goals, 3 of the goals that they scored on their Twitter, I think it was, and they look like they're playing with a lot of kind of pace and a lot of power, and they cut through Kilbirnie a few times without having seen anything else, literally just a goal. They are absolutely flying. Some Joe Hope's down there now.
Aye, yeah, and Hope was even on the bench, mate. Their numbers were doing it a weekend. Really? Aye, Hope, I think they had only like 3 or 4 on the bench, and Temps, and that was one of them. I think they Temps, and I don't know if it was Big Green was on the bench and all, and Hope. So showed you that their numbers were doing, but just shows you the strength and depth they've got. Do you know what I mean? They've managed to make a few changes, and we know how hard that place Kilbirnie is to go to and win any football game, and even Tommy's teams, you know what I mean? Tommy's always got his teams right fired up. They're always good sides. So for them to get down there and score 4 goals is great work. And I think they were 4-0 up. I think Kilbirnie have scored 2 goals. Really? 2 goals as the games went on. So very, very impressive result. Confidence again, like we were talking about Gartcairn, the sky high, the drum now. Hope Jaibi doing a great job. And it's a feel-good factor, and they go into a right big week, man, with a big Scottish against Gretna next week. But they're showing, man, that they're ready to take on anybody at this moment in time.
It's important as well, isn't it, when you're going to a place like Kilbirnie to shut the crowd up quick and to go there and to go there and go 4-0 up and get them quiet really quick is obviously, I believe they got the first goal early, so that gave them momentum and then carry that on. So it just shows you how important a good start is there, particularly at places like Kilburn.
Bang on, mate.
You know what the Kilburn fans like, they are very loud, and we've been fortunate enough to go into the Derby game last year, Dak, and you see what atmosphere they bring, and that can get to players when it's so close, and it is quite a hostile atmosphere. You're right, Stephen. Going to go to, for me, we'll go to a Premier League clash again, B3, Largs 4. Before we talk about how good a result that is, we'll touch on George Sewell's absolute worldie.
What a goal.
Oh, tremendous.
What a goal.
Can I just say something?
Brother Sewell.
I've always said that George Sewell was the best player in that house, mate. Not me. Because I don't think, for all the goals Will scores, I don't think he'd have been capable of doing what his brother done, mate. He a couple of keep-ups and put one right in the tap bin, mate. It's proper takers, mate. Geo, mate. Absolute tremendous, man.
Believe that I might be wrong, but with they know 3-2 down, 2 late goals to get in the 4-3 win. I think that we touch on it. Largs don't win enough games. They don't lose very many, but they don't win enough games. And I know it's a cup, but Straney's done a really good job at Beith, and for them to get that win away from home is it's a good result for them. Stephen, what's your views on it? It's Carter Ayrshire team's meeting.
Well, I think what I've noticed for the games that I've watched at this level, obviously you mentioned that 3-2 there, then went to 4-3, is that it's competitive and it's very tight, so goals can change games quickly, and that just goes to show with that result yesterday. But listen, what a goal it was. The goal that you're talking about for George Sewell. Is he keeping it up? I'm sure I've seen it right. He's keeping it up about 3 times and then just hit it in the top corner.
The ball comes up, he takes a nice touch up in there, does an half one, I think, and then bang into the top corner.
Maybe from a defensive point of view, you're looking at that going, why is he the shot? You just go to admire brilliance, don't you?
Aye, top class.
See the thing is, man, Arnie's teams always do well in the cups, man. We'd hope that would be a 3 points in the league and all, but brilliant way for them to win the game, especially being late and winning it late and way a moment of brilliance as well, man. Is always even better for the dressing room vibes.
Moving on to one of your former clubs, Dak, and one of my former clubs. My former club getting the win this time. Maryhill beating the Rock 5-1. I couldn't believe it when I saw it because the Rock are flying. We've spoken at length when Mark was obviously on the show, and we believe that he'll do a good job there and Maryhill do well eventually. But I didn't see that coming yesterday, 5-1. That is an absolute tremendous result for them.
1-0, the Rock went 1-0 up, mate, I know. So for Maryhill to show that character, Messi's marked the day, in fact. He messaged me the day. Brilliant for them, honestly. Really, really happy for them because they've had a tough couple of weeks in the league, man, trying to pick up points. And they got the draw last week and they've won this week, so things are looking up for them again. But an on-form Rock team, Davies always get the boys fired up. So for Maryhill to win the game 5-1, man, what a great result that is, because we've been singing the Rock's praises for a few weeks now. But Mark's actually, the results he's getting in the cup are really, really good. Do you know what I mean? He would probably swap some of these cup results for 3 points in the league, because in the cup they're doing really, really well, and you'll just be hoping to that form just moves on to the league form, do you know what I mean? The cup form. So what a result, mate. Take nothing away from him, man. That's a brilliant result for Mark and his boys, and what that will do for the belief and the confidence and the fans in that as well, because we know him well, PG, do you know what I mean? And we know how good he is and his thoughts in the game and that. So it's nice for him to get, although I'm an ex-Candy boy and I've a soft spot for the Candy, and it's nice to see Mark and his boys get a good performance and a good result in the cup.
Yeah, definitely. Going to go into another Premier League clash. Atherley 0, Meda 3. George Grierson, a really good start, really solid start. Atherley will be disappointed. Palmer, obviously, they've had a couple of good results of late, but that's good for George and the Meda to be keeping that momentum going. It's 3-0. It's not a result I expected as comfortable as that, considering how well Athley have done. But it's a really good result for the Meda.
Aye, Steve, on you go on that, my man. You
I
think?
think the important thing for the Meda, they're no doing, they're quite low down in the league, aren't they? So to get a win in the cup, keep a clean sheet as well. You know what I mean? That's important for the defence against an Athley side that we're going to be dangerous for them. So I think they'll look at that. 3-0 clean sheet, and you were just talking about the other game there about taking the league form, the cup form into the league. They'll be looking to do the same now, won't they?
That's two wins in the bounce for George. And listen, you can't deny that he's made an impression in there, and he's made a couple of wee changes personnel wise, and it seems to be working because he's picking up positive results.
You should definitely take credit for that as a coach, because that's something that's no easy to do, is change things and tweak it, because it can be very easy to be stuck in your ways, but it shows that he's got that ability as a coach to be self-critical, which I think is so vital. And hopefully for them, they'll start to go on a wee bit of a run now.
Well, that's the thing. They beat they beat Hurlford 3-2 last week.
4-3.
I did that again last week, didn't I? 4-3, which is a really good result. But at the same time, they're playing an Athlete team who scored 11 last week. 11-1 they win, and then they keep them at a clean sheet. It's quite impressive. I'll go into Athlete's opponents for last week, who are having a really tough time. Vale Clyde beating them 2-1. A locally Starby. That's a great result for Vale Clyde. Petershill, it's really not good enough for them, to be honest with you. That's no a game they should be losing at home. A team 2-3 divisions below them. It's no a game they should be losing. 13 goals in the last 2 games as well. It's no, I don't want to be hypercritical of Willie and stuff, because we know the position he's come in and he's had to basically rebuild a team, but that's not good enough.
I don't like, you don't want to bash anybody after a disappointing result, so I'm not going to do that. But what it does show you in football is see with a team coming in on confidence, and flying and winning games, to play against a team that's losing games and confidence is doing. It just shows you, even though there's a difference in the leagues, it shows you can make a massive difference. And I think that probably when the game's been tight, that's what's got Vale Clyde through it and make them come out and tap, because they've been used to winning games, whereas Petershill haven't been. Do you know what I mean? And I think that it's a brilliant result for Vale Clyde, really is, and they're having a great season up to date. Do you know what I mean? As we said last week, they seem to be getting things right on the park, and what that will do for them, that's a scalp. That's a scalp. That's having people look at them and go, right, they're serious, man. They'll be doing some serious damage in the league this year. And it's disappointing for Petershill, because one thing you can get out of the cup is, if you go wee runs, it's a wee distraction for your league form. Do you know what I mean? It gives the fans something else to look forward to by staying in the cup. So unfortunately, they're out of the cup as well. So that doesn't bode well for them. It's no good. Not what I mean.
No, it's not.
I think the worst time for a team like Petershill as well, you go to Vale Clyde, all the pressure's on you there to get a result. Vale Clyde are going to start, they're going to be stuffy, they're going to be hard to play against. The Petershill are probably going to need to break them down. And when you've not got confidence and you've not been winning games, that make even harder to do than what it would be anyway.
I think these are both right, and as you're saying, you've been there where you know winning's a habit, and once you're in it, there's times like you've been playing in teams and you've not been playing well, playing better sides, but you managed to get a win because you've had 4 or 5 wins in the bounce. Losing's exactly the same. You're in that habit of losing. You lose a goal. I think Petershill won up possibly. Then you lose a goal, and in their head they're going, "Oh shit, here we go again." Even though it's a team 3 leagues below them, they've not got the confidence, and it is easy to kind of get into that losing habit. Stephen,
I think Peasy, mate, just quickly before you move on, I think Peasy would rather have played an Auchinleck or a Pollok or somebody in the league, you know what I mean, winning or something, where they've not got anything, like people don't expect them. And that's a hard one, because everybody's expecting, or you think Petershill will go and win that game, and you're in an A1 situation, because if you get beat, everybody's like, that's not good enough. If you win, people are going, it's expected. So it's a tricky tie, but brilliant for Villa Clyde.
Definitely. Stephen, we're going to move on to your old man's team. Their game yesterday, go winning, beating Perthshire 5-1 away from home after going 1-0 down. I watched the highlights this morning. They looked like they kicked it on. They lost the goal, and then they looked like they just went for it and just kind of cruised the game. Dylan Mackin getting a hat-trick. He's in absolute fire now. How did the game go for them yesterday then?
Well, obviously, I think they were well in control of the game, and then Perthshire they get one chance and they take it. But then right after that, they just kept the momentum going. And listen, see if you give somebody like Dylan Mackin service, he's going to score goals. He's your typical penalty box striker. He'll put the ball in the net for you, and as somebody that's been vital to the way that Cowan have played. I know he had a good game last week, Kieran Wood, for my dad's team. So for Cowan, sorry, I just didn't get into the habit of saying that. But I think the important thing for them as well was, because the game was so comfortable late on, they managed to get 3 under-20s players on. So to bring them through, give them game time, get boys on the pitch. And no injuries as well. Forth are coming up in the cup next week, so it's all good. And I have to say that after the way the Scottish Cup went in the last round, I do not think there is much between the West of Scotland teams and the likes of the League 2, League 1 teams. And I don't think there is much in it at all. And I expect a lot of results that the media would brand shocks next week that in my mind aren't shocks.
I agree with you. I mean, that obviously you see it with your boys at Pollock. A lot of quality there, and I'm looking forward to going to the game next week when he's play Annan. Really looking forward to that. But the first vlog that we'll have done in a long time as well. See, I think you're completely right. See, when like last year with the big coupon back when we were doing the coupons, and we had that big coupon that it was took Talbot to beat Hamilton, took Meda to win one of the Darbo to win one of the games against the higher league teams. And I think it was like 3 or 4 of them, and they all came in. And I was like, I wasn't even that surprised about it. And that's the way it is. I think that Gomes and your dad and the rest of the guys, that it's really starting to click now. You've seen that. They had a wee tough patch when they took Air. Cup final was the first game, I think. It wasn't great. I was at it. Then they had a couple of tough games at the start of the season. Results didn't quite go the way they wanted it. But you can see now that it's really starting to turn and they're looking better. And I think you're right. I think they're going to go for a right good run for their money next week.
Yeah, and momentum is. We spoke about it. Momentum's so important in football. And the minute you keep churning out results, I mean, Pollock are a good side. I've been to watch Pollock many a time this season, and for the team like Pollock to take the lead, and then I'm sure Dak will agree, for Cowan to come back into the game and have the better of the second half. I know Pollock had a chance towards the end of the game that they're probably looking at and going, if we take that, we've won the game 2-1. But by all accounts, Cowan were the better team in the second half. So it just shows that the character the side have got, that they can go behind and come back, get results. It's only going to build confidence and build momentum moving forward.
Aye. I'm going to touch on the Holy Trinity down in, maybe not let me using that phrase, but down in East Ayrshire. You've got Talbot 5-0 against Craigmark at home. Cumnock 7-0 against Upper Annandale at home, and Glenafton and New Cumnock winning 2-0 against local team Lugar. All comfortable wins for them. I expected Cumnock to win. I actually thought 7-0 was an absolute doing. I actually thought it might have been more because the teams, they're no great quality. The South of Scotland sides, which we'll touch on when I talk about Threave playing Nitsteel. But Talbot won. I thought that was a really good result. 5-0, because that's a good Craigmark side that we've spoken about at length. I don't know how the games went, but I imagine Caddis will be quite disappointed because that would have been a good opportunity for them to show that they are a good side, and they were convincingly beaten by the Talbot.
Aye, on Cumnock, I think it's been a good opportunity. I think they've got game time with the other players. And I've seen their squad and their bench and that, and Bartley was on the bench, Moore was on the bench, and couple of other players were on the bench that have been starting every week, so that was good, yet they still avoid a banana skin and go through. Talbot, they were always going to do somebody, and I think it was just unfortunate it was Craig Mark, because we've been saying for weeks they've still got a quality side. I think, to be fair, Big Samson's on fire now for them. I know results maybe have been a bit disappointing, but he seems to be getting on the score sheet weekly now and scoring goals. And when you've got a striker on form and they certainly create chances at Talbot, then he's going to score goals. So that's a very solid win, but you don't expect anything different for Talbot in the cup.
Nah, definitely no. They're a top side. Have you been down to see them late, Stephen?
No, I've not been to see Talbot, but I'm going to see Giffnock on Friday against Bonnyton. That's a game that I'm going to be vlogging, so I'm really looking forward to that. Brian McGinty, he's got them flying at the minute, 7-0, and I'm really excited to go and watch Jordan Moore. Actually, I'm looking forward to going and watching him.
I'm doing it Giffnock on Friday as well, so I'm looking forward to bumping into our friends down at Giffnock.
You're bringing the handcuffs?
I'm taking my wee brother down with me. Do you know what I mean? He's chaperoning me down. Do you know what I mean?
Are we going to get an Ant and Dak vlog again?
I'll get a couple of bits and bobs. You know what I mean?
Aye, we'll just say.
I've been asked with the BBC today. They the coverage.
Obviously, I wouldn't expect anything else. You know, I mean, you can't wear that big orange jumper though.
No, I'm going to wear it so people can see me. So I want
you have a wee cap on, and I know you like a wee cap. Going to touch on Ashfield 2-0 against the Thorn. That's just something I want to mention. Looking at all the 4th Division teams who were in the competition, and that we talk about the 4th Division probably as much as we talk about the Premier League, to be honest. Maybe a bit more at times. I want to touch on the 4th Division. Threave battered Nittsdale 8-0. Nittsdale are kind of mid-table in the south of Scotland. Threave have had a couple of hard results against Kilsyth, St Peters and stuff. But that's their top league of south of Scotland. The winner of that gets themselves a chance to get into the Lowland League. And our 4th Division sides are better than mid-table teams in that league quite convincingly. You're looking at the Thorn losing 2-0 to Ashfield, which I think is a reasonable result because Ashfield are absolutely on fire. You've got Harmony Row only losing 1-0 to Neilson, which after the really, really hard start they've had to the season, that's a decent result, even though it's in a kind of out of form Neilson side. Campbelltown going to the Borough, only losing 3-1. BSC only losing 3-0 to St Cadoc's. Kilsyth losing to Inverkeithing. I think that Bailey and his team will probably be disappointed with that one. And then Rossvale Academy losing 3-2 to Shotts. I think that the Division 4 teams, even without only one of them going through, they've gave themselves a very good account of themselves in a big competition, which this is pretty much the biggest competition that our teams compete in outside the leagues. So I think that it's been a really...
Mate, it just shows you how competitive they are, mate. And these teams will keep getting better, do you know what I mean? And they'll be better for the experiences, some of them going away to different venues and places that some of the players have never played in. So, I definitely agree with you. It just shows you that the addition of Division 4 is like worthwhile. Do you know what I mean? And on the Ashfield one, you see Jordan Perry's free kick.
Oh, great free kick, man!
Lovely, mate, wasn't it? He's I don't know much about Jordan. You know what I mean? Because he get brought in with a new management team, but supposedly he's a serious baller and he's scored a few crackers already this season. But that's a good solid result for Ashfield.
There was almost no backlift in it, no? He just went up and just...
Was it, mate? Mate, he could probably do that for 18-year boat in his 18-year boats at Ashfield, mate, parts that wee.
Stephen, you've been down to see any of the Division 4 teams? Obviously, but with me being at St Peters before, it's a league that I like to look at, and like I said, me and Dak talk about it a lot. I think it's well worth going down to see because there's a lot of quality. There's teams who are still quite naive and they need to learn a lot at this level, but I think there's a lot of quality down in that division.
It's very easy for people to look at teams in that division and go, character and associate it with your typical junior football, like the stereotypical junior football. I mean, I was naive to it before my dad went to Pollock. When my dad went to Pollock, it really opened my eyes to the quality that is throughout this divisions. I think still there is an issue with the pyramid system. I don't think it's open enough for these clubs. I think, and while you've got clubs that are in the top leagues still voting. They're not going to vote for
Oh.
something that's going to jeopardise them. So, but listen, anyway, back to the 4th Division teams. I've been in touch with Ashfield. I kind of went off on a tangent there. They're the club that I've been in touch with, and a club that I'm hoping to work with closely soon. And as you say, tough place to go, tight pitch, but these teams have real quality as well. And the ability to hurt teams, and it's reflected in the scorelines. I said how tight it was at the start of the programme. It's so tight through all the divisions.
Definitely is. Right, we're going to move away from Cup and go into the league. We've only got 5 games across 4 divisions for yesterday. In the first division, Blantyre 0, Bonnyton 2. That we spoke a lot about both sides, to be fair. We've been very, very complimentary of Blantyre, and Gibby's done a great job there after a really tough season last season. That is, what's that? That's 2 defeats in a bounce and a draw before that, after having a really solid start. And I think it's one that Gibby were really disappointed in. But we've been saying for a while as well that Bonnyton have been getting better. I know they get scudded last week off Cumbernauld, but it's a really important result, I think, for Bonnyton. That moves them into 14th place, 3rd bottom. They're tied in points for the Ben's. Ben's got a couple of games in hand.
Yeah.
But they're in a position where they're looking like they might be able to fight not to be in that bottom 3, which we believe could be the relegation zone this season.
The 3 points is massive, right, for Bonnyton, really is. And we've been saying for weeks now that they're much more competitive and they're going to pick up results. And that is a really impressive one for them. So well done to Ross and his players. But I think one of the most important things to Ross and what he'll try and build on is that clean sheet, mate. See that clean sheet, do you know what I mean? That gives that defence and goalkeeper, that unit, a bit something to build on, do you know what I mean? Because I've seen Blantyre this season and they're good going forward. They've got some good players that can help you. So keep a clean sheet is a very good achievement, especially Blantyre done good business through the week. They get big Kieran Coleman back for Beeve, which was a good signing because he was excellent when Pollock played Beeve in the Friday night game. I thought he was outstanding at centre half that night. And that's a great re-signing for Gibby. But what a result that is for Bonnyton.
Aye, definitely. It's a team I've still not seen myself, Bonnyton. But I think that's a really strong one. But on the other side of that, talking about Blantyre, only picking up 1 point out of a possible 9 in the league. They're still only 2 points off Drumchapel to top the league.
It's tight. I
mean, they'll be really disappointed they're not top of the league, you know. But that they've only won half their games. But we spoke about it before. In that league, you can put 3-4 wins together. You're flying right up it because it's so tight.
I think that's what it's looking like most of the leagues, and maybe Stephen will agree. I think that most leagues are that tight, but if you get one team that can go on a run of winning 5, 6, 7 on the bounce, man, it'll just pull you away and give you a wee bit of breathing space because everybody seems to be beating everybody.
No, I agree. Sorry, I'm sorry, I was muted there. I didn't know. But no, I agree. I think, particularly about the winter months, is when you see if teams can go on a run round about Christmas when there's loads of fixtures, when it's cold. Do you know what I mean? If you can put a run together, then when leagues are tight, it can really stand you in good stead getting into towards the end of the season. So I think these upcoming months are going to be really pivotal to who goes up and who goes down.
I agree with you. I think that you touched on a good point there. See when the parts start getting cut up and whatnot, which we're getting to that stage now. The weather's been a bit poor the last couple of days and stuff. You'll see teams dropping points that you wouldn't have thought they would because it's. But then you look at teams like Bonnyton who play on nice astrograss surface and stuff like that, and getting away from home that might be difficult for them. We're going to move on to the second division. Kilsyth 1, the Ants 2, the only game in the league that in that division. Kilsyth, new manager, Dak. I didn't even realise until you told me about it.
Just got announced there, mate.
So Carlo, I won't even try and pronounce his second name, but
Carlo Girasoli, innit?
Girasoli, we'll go with that.
Lockie's assistant is the new Kilsyth manager. Just been announced there, just as we've been doing the show, and they've already announced him and 2 new signings. I think Scott Brodie and Johnny Branks for Peasy. So he's already went in early and done a bit of business there. So well done to him, because he's been an assistant manager to Lockie for a long time now, so it's good, nice to see him go out and get a gig for himself and try and see how he gets on in the management game himself. But he's got great contacts, and that's a good appointment for Kilsyth, I think.
Aye, definitely.
Likes his muscles already, isn't he? By signing two players, starting to authority. And I think that sends a message out to the rest of the squad as well to say, look, I'm not afraid to bring in boys if I need to.
Right off the bat. And on that as well, that maybe weakens a weak Petershill team even more, which is something that they don't need. The Ants, it's a really good win for the Ants. That team picked up 10 points out of the last 4 games. They picked up 1 in their first 4 and 10 in their last 4. We've said it, they're a hard team to beat, and they would pick up points after a sticky start. I think that a lot of credit goes to the team because they're a young side, and the Ants aren't exactly what you call a fashionable side. You know what I mean? They don't have any money. They kind of fight and scrape all their way through, and I say that for personal experience. I think Danny's doing a great job, and I know Danny's going through a bit of a tough time now as well, mate. So we're always here if you need any help, Danny, as well, mate. Keep your chin up, my man. But your team is doing well.
See on that, PG, I know unfashionable, and I totally get what you're saying. They've not got the money and all that, but I think in any of these conferences, if you're taking 10 points out of your last 4 games, I think that the quality's there. You know what I mean? You need to be showing quality. You need to be turning up. You need to be turning up on it. You need to be carrying out the game plan and playing well to get anything in these conferences this season. So the form they're on's brilliant. They're one of the form teams in the league. And I think the Ants done that something similar last season, where they would put wee runs together and you would be like, brilliant, and then you would just get a wee unexpected result. So Danny will be hoping that wee unexpected blip doesn't come round the corner. But listen, loads of credit to that, because that's a really, really, really great result for them, because Kilsyth Rangers are still a big name in that league. Do you know what I mean? They're still a very good side, can still attract big name players down there. So for the Ants to win that game is a tremendous 3 points for them.
Aye, definitely. It's a really strong result. Excuse me. We're going to move on to Division 3. 2 games in that league. Ardrossan 5, Newmains 1, Vale of Leiden 3, Port Glasgow 3. Ardrossan,
I think it finished 8-1 or something to Ardrossan. I think that the league website put it as 5, but I think I seen something, mate.
We'll have a wee gander on the Twitter and Aaron. But even at that, that's them won, I think, 5 out of the last 6 and get a draw. One of the most informed teams in the West right now. We spoke about them earlier on in our season preview about how we thought that with the quality that Gav's brought in, they would do really well. Poor start for me. Now you're saying that they're kicking on and starting to do really well.
Aye. What do you think, Stevie?
Oh, he's muted himself.
Oh, he's not. Nah, man, lads, I'm not going to lie to you. You start going into the 3rd division, I'm a wee bit out my depth in against that league now.
Yeah, I think you just keep muting every time I'm talking, mate. You fed up listening to me already.
That's plenty, Jack.
These buds texting me now, I've got a YouTube channel.
No, I think based on it, I think that either form's been great. Ardrossan, man, I think they're really flying, mate. Gav's got the boys flying. The quality players that they've got, do you know what I mean? They've done good business, but they've got players like Chrissy Craig and that as well, you know what I mean? McGuinness and stuff, that quality operators, and they're flying, scoring loads and loads of goals, man, loads of goals. So I think that they'll be an interesting watch between now and the end of the season, because they've got some serious firepower down there.
Aye, it's a really good result. And that's one I'd like to get down to as well. It's too many teams I'd like to get down to.
It's a good club, mate. I've only been doing once, but the setup down there's brilliant. And honestly, their partner, it's nice, mate. And the setup at the Stone and it's a good wee part down there.
That's like obviously like 2 of my good mates, like wee Tiny and Big Barry Jones, both won the Ayrshire district down there with them years ago, and I used to go down and watch, like, if I didn't have a game and that day, and it was a really good setup, and it is a good kind of community club. They're doing well. Moving on to the other game, Villa leaving 3, Port Glasgow 3. 2-0 up to Villa leaving. The Port got it to 3-2, and then Villa leaving scored late on to make it 3 each. Villa leaving look like they're improving now. Result, even though they've not picked up maybe as many points as they would like, results are definitely kind of turning for them. Because I had them as one of the teams that were going to go good in this year. I really didn't think they would do great, and they've managed to kind of pull themselves out of a bit of a hole. Oh, well, the Port, I don't think it's good enough. And I don't like saying this because I really like Stevie. I love the Port. I don't know how the game. I've not been to the game, obviously, but there's too much quality in that team, and particularly if they're beating Les Mahigo 4-2 last week, which is a very good result.
We didn't really touch on that last week. That was a brilliant
Aye,
result.
a
But see,
really
if you're
good-
saying they were winning 3-2, mate, they've nearly took 6 points out of 6.
I know, and the thing is, at the end of the day, they've walked away with 4 points, which I think, see, if you're looking at the 2 games beforehand, you probably win. If you can get a point off Les Mahigo and beat Villa leaving, then that's been a really good 2 weeks. I almost look at it sometimes as a bit of a supporter of the Port, because they're the first result I always look for, and I want them to do better. I think that they've got the quality there, bringing in boys like Milky. I think Stevie is a good coach. He's got kind of that Ailsan, Big Abu, who's a guy I really like as well, and I just think that they've got a really good kind of good base there, but it's no kind of clicking for them. But I do believe that Stevie will get time. I know the committee like that they're brilliant down there, and he will get time. And I think
That's what I was going to say, mate. Sometimes a job, mate, it's not a quick fix. You know what I mean? And I think that they would maybe acknowledge that, because I wouldn't say the Port have been pure punching above their weight for years anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I think with Stevie and that, the board will not have me telling them what to do. You know what I mean? They're much more savvy than me in that respect. But for me, knowing him and knowing his backroom staff and his brother and stuff like that, I think it's only a matter of time before they really kick the club on and they'll get things right. But it's good to see they're getting backed and getting to go and sign the likes of Milky and that. Do you know what I mean? That means that they're getting backing for the board. But they took 4 points, mate, and they've put points in the board. But Stevie, man, he's a serial winner, mate. He doesn't like anything less than winning games of football. So if anybody's going to be taking it hard, mate, it'll be him.
No, definitely, I agree. And I think he's definitely the right man for the job down there. I just wish they would do a wee bit better. But the committee are excellent, and they'll give him time, and he deserves it, because he will do well down there.
What about them? Do you know, been doing the report or anything, Stevie?
I've been doing there a couple of times, but never for a game of football. I'll get terrible circulation. That wouldn't be good for me, but please.
It's
always horrible, mate. It's always
right on the wall.
Honestly, what you're saying there, it's so important that a board can give a manager time, because I think when you look at the way the football's gone these days, it's across every level. People don't get time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A couple of bad results, that's you. You look at the door, but if you're saying about Stevie's a serial winner, then I'm assuming he'll not take any rubbish. Do you know what I mean? So
he'll not take that, man, because I wouldn't say it bad about him, because he's ragged on me, man.
Sometimes it takes a strong manager to sort out a board. Do you know what I mean?
That is the thing. Like I've mentioned it already. The committee at the Port are brilliant. I mean, I know most of them personally, and they're really good guys, and they love the club, and they're not the type to have knee-jerk reactions. Because there's been spells where the club have done reasonably well for their aims, and in times that have not done well, and they've not went and sacked managers for it. I had something else going to say. I've literally just went out of my head. But I think that I think he'll get time in it. He'll do well. It's just, he's trying to change the mentality. I know we're spending quite a bit of time on the Port, but he's trying to change the mentality for me down there, where, it's like that. For the outside, I know from the inside, where it's like, the Port's get this mentality of being gang-like, and they're very physical, and at times they've played up on that. They've had a lot of boys who've played for them who have been on the park borderline mental cases, but off the park nice guys. I know them personally. I think he's trying to change the mentality and get it away from that, because you got a lot of boys, when I was there, boys that wouldn't come. They just want to come down to the Port because of the reputation it had, and they never had much money. Now they've got not much, but they've got a wee bit of money, and if they can get a manager who's going to change the mentality and change the way that they're viewed, then I think good things will come. Moving on to Division 4, only the one game there. Eglinton 1, West Park 4. pretty standard result. I think it's what we'd expect. Eglinton have only won the one game. They seem to be improving week on week. West Park, after having the setback a few weeks ago, have got themselves 4 wins on the bounce. The disciplinary issues that was spoken about seems to be gone. Everything seems to be going really well for them now. And it's a good win for them. With Kilsyth being off league duty, it was good for them to get 3 points back on them and get within 3 points of them at the top of the league.
I think a couple of wins as well. If they start to get a couple of wins, it's easy to wean out that discipline. Whereas if you maybe lose a couple of games and you get a draw here or there, particularly with Lord in the divisions, it's a bit easier for players to then lose the rag and act rash because maybe their confidence levels under there. And that's what it all goes back to, confidence levels. I think it was Pollok that says football's a game that's played with your brain. Your feet are just tools. I've not even got the tools to use my feet. Do you know what I mean? But if you're playing with a clear head, then you're going to do well and you're going to get results.
I don't know if we can have him back, man. He's talking too much sense.
Mate, I think honestly he is bang on, mate. See, when you're winning football games, mate, boys don't get involved in rubbish in the games, mate, because they're all just buzzing and enjoying it. It's all happening out in the park. They're flying. Passes are coming off. They're scoring goals. And listen, if we Stefan Graham up front doing the business, man, 3 goals again for him on Saturday. Boy's a good player. And I don't think I'd be speaking out of turn. I think West Park's a club that he's played for in his younger days, and he's ended up going back there and he plays with a lot of his pals. But I think this quality Stefan's got, I think that he could be playing up a few leagues anyway. But at the same time, he's enjoying his football, he's playing with his pals, he's playing with a good side, and they're going really well now, West Park.
See, if you're playing with your pals and you know the boys that you're playing with, it's a lot easier to gel the minute you start getting a couple of results and all.
No.
You know what I mean? Because you got that relationship after the park. You hear people in the professional game talking about how important it is to have that time after the pitch. So if they've already established that before they've even crossed the white line, they've got an advantage on teams already.
No, I definitely agree. I think that's a good place to finish. Stephen, thank you very much for coming on. I think you've been top draw sporting probably more sense than most of the time anybody we have on this, to be honest. You've nailed a lot of the good points. But for anybody, check Stephen out at a different view on YouTube. Stuff's brilliant. Hopefully you'll be doing the wee vlog on Friday night as well.
Yeah, it's something that we're trying to do as a channel, because obviously a lot of our channels centred on disabled facilities, but we know that we can't just limit ourselves to that. But what we're finding with the West of Scotland League is you get a lot more access there.
All right. Teams are happy to have you.
For example, going behind the scenes at Giffnock, and this is what I need from professional clubs at a higher level. This is the kind of access that I need there. So I'm wanting to show what I can do at the West of Scotland level and then hopefully take it into a higher league, because it's good quality as well. I enjoy watching the games.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, mate. I've watched your vlogs, mate, and I totally agree with PG, mate. You speak so much sense. Your knowledge of the game's very good, mate, and the vlogs are very good. And I tell you what, mate, you've got some sense of humour, mate. I tell you that, mate. You've got a great sense of humour. I know what it's like, mate, because I need to carry this one sometimes on this podcast when it comes to that and all. Do you know what I mean, David? But
Said used to carry him a day, you know what I mean?
Aye, well, mate.
I think that's important for me as well, though, because obviously growing up with a disability, it's very easy for me to come into this game and for people to look at me and go, because there is a stereotype associated with people with disabilities. So I almost come onto these things with a point to prove that I don't know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because
I think that anybody watching or listening to this would know, your football. I think that maybe you're pulling your old man's strings, and that's how we get the job with Gorms.
I think he's doing so well.
100%. I bet you get the tactic board out showing them how to do it and all that. Know what I mean?
Aye, definitely. I don't use the left horn, but know what I mean? Can't quite get to the counters.
Yeah, Stevie, honestly, mate, you're a top lad and we really appreciate your time. And tell you what, hopefully we can do this again and we'll be catching up at games and that as well, my man.
Definitely, but I'll see you Friday coming.
I'll see you Friday, my man.
Right, Stephen, thanks a lot, mate. Everybody, thank you very much for watching. We hope you have a good week. Make sure you get out and support your local club, like the episode and subscribe to the channel as it really helps us out. Have a good Gene. Bye-bye.